Welcome to another episode of Courtsiders. I'm your host, Eric, and let's just go over the Brooklyn Nets game yesterday. So, the Brooklyn Nets played the Cleveland Cavaliers yesterday. It was the debut of their quote-unquote Big Three, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and James Harden. So, how did it go? Well, Brooklyn lost in double overtime. I don't think they deserve to win that game. They honestly played, I wouldn't say pathetic or terrible, but I would say something in between. They started the game fine. I think they went 10 for 10 in the beginning of the game to start off the game. After that, they went 0 for 10. So something switched. And what switched was Cleveland's defense. They actually went to a 2-3 zone to try to stop the Brooklyn Nets, which the Brooklyn Nets could not solve. They couldn't solve a 2-3 zone, and they had trouble for about 3.5 quarters, right? I think it was in the latter part of the fourth quarter where they actually started breaking it down a little bit more. But I honestly, the players, I wouldn't say they played great. I would say they played a little bit, I don't know. I wouldn't say they didn't play to the full potential. I think when you have, I don't know, like Kyrie Irving shooting 28 times, I don't know if that's the correct way to go about it. I think he should have around 20. I think Kevin Durant should have around 21, 22. And I don't think James Harden should have, just 14 shots in that game. Joe Harris had 10 shots. He was kind of off this night. He basically just made 2 shots all night. I mean, he provided 9 rebounds and, some assists and some key moments in that game. I remember there's one rebound where he just, threw himself for the rebound, basically got the rebound and saved that possession, basically. If it wasn't for him, I think the game would have been over by then. But yeah, it was sloppy, super sloppy. It's not that the Nets didn't shoot well. They shot about 37 from the 3-point line, about 45 field goal wise. I think it was just really sloppy the whole game, right? So like in the beginning, it was just so many turnovers. They had about 16 turnovers in total. The Cavs had 15, but there was a lot of inconsistency. Basically, Cleveland just kind of punished them in the paint as well. They had, 64 points in the paint, while Brooklyn had 48. They were out-rebounded. But Cleveland just shot the ball really well, I think, as well. Due to the part that the Nets can't cover anything right now. I mean, the Cleveland Cavaliers were the worst offensive team coming into this game, and they shot 50% from the 3-point line and 51% field goal in total, So if you're shooting 50% from the 3-point line, and they shot 23s, so 23s, they went 20 for 40. Colin Sexton in the second overtime basically just took over. I think the Brooklyn Nets were gassed at that point, and Sexton was not gassed. He still had a lot of energy left in the tank. And yeah, the rotation that Steve Nash had yesterday night was atrocious. He played Bruce Brown 7 minutes in a game where they needed defense, so I don't know where that disconnect comes from. TLC didn't play his greatest game, but 12 minutes for him. Perry, 11 minutes. You don't even give Shamet any minutes. I think in this type of game, you kind of needed to give these starters a little bit more of a break. I think they were all gassed. Kevin Durant played 50 minutes and Harden played 51 minutes, right? Harden has taken like 3 weeks off because of the Houston situation. He wasn't really putting any effort over there, right? So once you ramp him up to 51 minutes, that's a you know pretty large increase. Also, Kyrie Irving hasn't played in 2 weeks. Like, this is his first game back from his little hiatus. So, plays 48 minutes. I mean, he scores 37 points, but also they all seem tired in the second overtime. And I think if you look at Steve Nash, you have to throw some blame at him. They couldn't break down a 2-3 zone, and they have some of the best players in the world. The rotation is totally off. You have to play Bruce Brown. You need rebounding. You need defense. Why aren't you playing him? It is absurd. I think this is where you see the lack of experience from Steve Nash. He calls timeouts at the wrong time. The rotation's off. But also Mike D'Antoni and others have to say something. They have to kind of say something to his ear, man, because I don't know, I get the whole, oh, these are superstars, I'm not going to get in their way, I'm not going to do this, it's just going to, throw a monkey wrench in there if I'm too, if I micromanage these people. No one likes to micromanage it, but at the same time, you have to be a coach and you have to kind of set up plays for these players. Even though they are superstars, you have to try to create opportunities for them. If not, they're just going to stand there and wait for the ball. So I think you should be running more plays through them. I mean, in all honesty, Kevin Durant and James Harden should be running the pick and roll a lot. I mean, if you run a pick and roll with James Harden or Kevin Durant, vice versa, Kyrie Irving's going to be a little bit more open, So I think just bringing the ball down and kind of dribbling until there's 10 seconds left and then driving in and kicking out, that's not going to work every night, As talented as they are, people are going to throw different things at you, and especially with the 2-3 zone, you know that they're going to press you in the middle when you attack. You have to have someone at those elbows. I think if they just put Kevin Durant, Jeff Green at those elbows, and then sort of, go on from there, it makes sense because you throw in the pass to the elbow, right? It's going to make the 2-3 zone collapse a little bit or just go inwards, and then you have 3-point shooters on the sides to try to make that shot, right? And I know they weren't going in yesterday for Joe Harris, but they were going in for Jeff Green, they were going in for Kyrie Irving. So I think it's just, obviously it's the first game with them. It's going to take a lot of time to get used to, but there's a lot of mismanagement going on right now. And defensively, they're all over the place. It's just, if there are multiple picks in one play, and you could look at the film on this, if there are multiple picks on one play, the Brooklyn Nets get confused. It is so easy to confuse the Brooklyn Nets. If there's one pick, if there's a high pick and roll, yeah, they could defend it. But if there's multiple picks in one play, they're all over the place. They lose players, they ball watch, they don't box out, they wait for the ball in rebounding, so they don't attack the ball. Nash likes going with this small lineup, but they don't have enough fundamentals defensively to go with these small lineups, and it's hurting them, dude. So yeah, I mean, the big three is nice, dude. It's nice, but if you don't have the right coaching, it's not gonna work out. It's the first game, so it's always an overreaction to a reaction. But I don't like how Nash is handling the rotations at the moment at all. I haven't liked it since the beginning, and I think he's been a couple of steps behind what other people are seeing and watching. If you're not, should you play Shaman at the point guard? No, you bring in Bruce Brown. Bruce Brown is going to give you rebounding. It's going to give you some scoring and, a lot of defense. So you kind of need him in there for rebounding and just to take a break, right? Just to give breaks to Kyrie Irving, right? Just to give breaks to someone else. And Shaman too, to give break to... If you're really tired, then Joe Harris isn't going to be the same player. If Joe Harris is tired, his legs aren't going to be underneath him. He's not going to be shooting the three-point well. So you need to give him some time to breathe, right? You got to give him a breather. So Shamet and Bruce Brown are there to give Kyrie Irving and Joe Harris breathing space. If you don't manage that, then your shooters aren't going to be as efficient. So I guess it's just frustrating because he is a new coach. Steve Nash is a new coach, and he just still doesn't know how to coach. So it's going to go as he goes, and I think the players are only so good, but you really do need someone to orchestrate that. If you have a band, if you have an orchestra full of premium, supreme musicians, you need a maestro. And if the maestro's not good, then that orchestra is not going to flow well. It's not going to sound good. So yeah, I think Mike D'Antoni has to kind of try to guide him, dude, because you're there for mentorship too. It's like Jacques Vaughn too. You have to try to mentor this person, because the rotation, it just isn't working. I think he's overthinking it, and I think yesterday was a demonstration of that. Yeah, but that was for the Brooklyn Nets. For the Cleveland Cavaliers, actually, they played really well. They played really well, man. And Colin Sexton, I was totally wrong about Colin Sexton. I just didn't think he was that great, honestly. But this season, he's totally proven everyone wrong, including myself. I was totally wrong about him. It's just, watching him go off in the second overtime, I was just like, damn, this dude he's younger, he's got more gas, he's got more stamina than our players. He just wants it more, That's basically what I got from that game. And he couldn't miss at the end. Anyone was guarding him, he couldn't miss. So it was one of those games that you just watch and you're like, all right, well, any shot he's going to shoot is going to go in. And yeah, he, shot 5 from 11 from three-point line, 16 of 29 overall. He had 42 points. He had 2 assists. He had 5 assists. He had 2 steals. He had a really amazing game yesterday. And I think Larry Nance he just hit so many clutch shots yesterday. He went 3 for 5 from three-point line. Really efficient. I think the whole team shot efficiently from the three-point line. 50% from the three-point line. And they shot 43s. So yeah, Larry Nance, though, he hits some of the most clutch three-pointers last night. Also, the Nets decided not to foul on that last play when they had a foul to give, and Colin Sexton hit a 3 to tie it. So yeah, it's just decisions like that make me question the management and coaching for the Brooklyn Nets. It's just, you're supposed to foul on that play. It is kind of frustrating, dude. It's just frustrating because it's a fundamental thing, right? You have a foul to give, so you're gonna foul them, man. You're gonna foul them just to get them off bounds. But they decide not to foul, and they hit a game-tying 3. So it's super frustrating, dude. Especially a team with Cleveland. They're one of the worst offensive teams in the NBA. So for them to put up 147 points is kind of disgraceful if you're the Brooklyn Nets. That kind of shows you where you are defensively. And yeah, they show up against these great teams, right? Brooklyn Nets, this is the thing with the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets, they have won these games against really playoff contenders. They've beaten the Bucks. They've beaten the Nuggets. They've beaten the 76ers. They've beaten the Jazz, Hawks, Celtics, Warriors, right? So it's not like they're not beating these contenders. They're struggling against teams with below 500 records. And what does that mean? That means lack of concentration. So yeah, it's just frustrating, dude.